Okay, this is the first 50 lessons of the workbook of A Course in Miracles, the 20-minute book. This particular version is going to have commentary, and I will record a clean version for those who want to do as instructed and read the book 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes before going to bed. Forward. Herein are the first 50 lessons as presented in Review 1 of the Workbook of A Course in Miracles. It is recommended that you complete the entire catechism in one single, completely private interval. This continuing encounter, lasting approximately 20 minutes, should be experienced daily. And just to interject here, 20 minutes is based on someone who I believe is not actually digesting the material. It takes me at least 40 minutes to really get through the book because I'm really trying to apply the lessons and bathe my mind in the lessons. Ideally, once each morning as early as possible and nightly before retiring to sleep. So basically, um, even though this says 20 minutes, try to devote double that for morning and evening. This application is invaluable assistance for those who are genuinely determined to discover the whole changeless reality of life that is the eternal love of God. It is a proven, direct method of restoring awareness to communication with the creative source of all that is or ever can or will be. It is an invitation to an immediate contact with the singular power of the reality of eternal life that is all around you and is you. These teaching, learning, review lessons are given through the Christ mind of Jesus of Nazareth for the purpose of retraining our minds and hearts to a new way of thinking, to restore our awareness to our natural state of communication with all that is, and awaken from the nightmare of death to eternal reality. Lovingly become known as the 20-minute book practice, many have found that by using these directives during the course of the day, they have come to experience a recognition of light that has always been with us. The help we have through the contact and use of that light has changed the manner by which they had previously thought of themselves and the universe, restoring them to the awareness of a state of being that precludes the illusion of separation from each other, our source, and the whole singular reality in which we were created and share wholly. The practicing of the lessons in this booklet, as suggested, will facilitate the undoing of the linear, delusionary, conclusion based thinking of the judgmental mind, the egoic thought system, which gives rise to the illusion of sickness, pain, suffering, and death. In its place, the practice will induce the replacement of this thought system with an activation of the light within to bring about a new way of thinking, allowing us to become aware of the peace of God which passes human understanding and the wholly integrated being we are now and always have been and have always been. As you use the ideas presented within, you will become increasingly aware of the reality of the kingdom of God and the laws by which our source created us and by which we truly live. Your mind will be restored to the awareness of our natural state and the immutable ability to live joyfully and freely without any thought of fear or guilt, which has previously kept love's wholeness, and therefore our own, hidden from view and merely a distant desire rather than a wholly consistent, natural, and present experience now. We suggest, as you read these review lessons, you let the thoughts sink deeply into the core of your being. So that's why for me, it doesn't take 20 minutes. But if you're a fast reader and someone who can digest really quickly, or if you've been used to this, it may take 20 minutes. It just depends. Use the ideas during the day as you feel guided to remember them. Each expression stands as a whole statement of reparation. Know that your value as God has created you is beyond estimation, and to know of it is worth so much more than the 20 minutes of dedication it will take on one reading to let the thoughts contained within this booklet sink into and activate the light in your mind. Through your willingness to give yourself the time to exercise these thoughts each day, you will experience more and more what is eternally of infinite value as you remember and become reacquainted with the never-ending, limitless, abounded love and light you are. It matters not the content of any ego illusion, good, bad, or indifferent. Eventually, it will dawn on you that your one task is to awaken from the dream that has seemed to be your reality, from the onset of the dream within each one of us, unseen yet unaffected by our sleep. The Holy Spirit has been guiding us gently to the time and space when we would welcome the light of understanding that is His voice and His reality, and accept the comfort and counsel the awareness of this light brings. As the lessons in undoing open our minds and hearts, the steadfast trustworthiness this constant companion brings will become increasingly viable for use in achieving His purpose of awakening us from the dream of death, which has been the forgetting of eternal reality. Let now be the time of your awakening, for there is but one way to escape a dream, and that is to awaken and be glad. Be glad now and learn, as our brother Jesus did himself, to listen, learn, and do that which is done through you, through the acceptance of the love the Holy Spirit's guidance brings. Remember, you have never really been separate from the singular whole reality and totality of being. Remember, too, there is not now, nor has there ever been, anything whatsoever to fear. We begin. A Course in Miracles Workbook Review 1 A Course in Miracles Workbook Review 1 Instructions. In the practice period, the exercises should be done as follows. Begin the day by reading the ideas with the comments included. At the end of the day, before retiring, be sure to review all of them once more. Throughout the day, it is not necessary to follow any particular order in considering them, but let them come to mind and use them. Perhaps on the hour or the half hour, devote 2 minutes or more to thinking about one of the ideas and the related comments. Do this as often as possible during the day. If any one of the ideas appeals to you more than the others, concentrate on that one. It is not necessary to cover the comments literally or thoroughly in the practice periods. Try rather merely to emphasize the central point and think about it as part of your review of the idea to which it relates. The review exercises should be done with your eyes closed and when you are alone in a quiet place, if possible. This is emphasized particularly for reviews at your stage of learning. It will be necessary, however, that you learn to require no special settings in which to apply that which you have learned. You will need it most in situations which appear to be upsetting rather than in those which are already seem to be calm and quiet. The purpose of your learning is to enable you to bring the quiet with you and to heal distress and turmoil. This is not done by avoiding them and seeking a haven of isolation for yourself. You will yet learn that peace is part of you and requires only that you be there to embrace any situation in which you are. And finally, you will learn that there is no limit to where you are, so that your peace is everywhere as you are. The ideas are not always given in quite their original form of statement within the first 50 lessons of the Workbook of A Course in Miracles. Use them as they are given here. It is not necessary to return to the original statements, nor to apply the ideas as was suggested then. We are now emphasizing the relationships among the first 50 of the ideas we have covered and the cohesiveness of the thought system to which they are leading you. And so, if you'll recall, when we first did the lessons, they were very long, or they were longer than this one paragraph. Nothing I see means anything. And then if you go to the book, I'm going to try to do so really quickly. If you go to the book, there's a sentence, and then a paragraph, a sentence, another paragraph, and then a full, complete, whole, meaty paragraph. So these lessons are condensed compared to the lessons in the book. And we have the idea first listed first, and then the paragraph, the commentary, and then it says the lesson number. So that's another difference. In the book, it says lesson 1, and then it has the idea and then a commentary. So I'm just going to read it as it is shown here. Nothing I see means anything. The reason this is so is that I see nothing, and nothing has no meaning. It is necessary that I recognize this, that I may learn to see. What I think I see now is taking the place of vision. I must let it go by realizing that it has no meaning, so that vision may take its place. Lesson 1. I have given what I see all the meaning it has for me. I have judged everything I look upon. And it is this, and only this, that I see. This is not vision. It is merely an illusion of reality, because my judgments have been made quite apart from reality. I am willing to recognize the lack of validity in my judgments because I want to see. My judgments have hurt me, and I do not want to see according to them. And that's lesson 2. For me, I have given what I see all the meaning it has for me. That has been very prominent. This particular idea has been very prominent in my life. As I see different things going on, I'll say, okay, am I giving this meaning? What meaning should I be giving this, if any meaning at all? Should I be ascribing value to this? You know, what's going on around me? For instance, I could have judged someone as not listening to me, but then it was like, okay. And then, of course, set your boundaries. But to give you an example, it was like, okay, I could say they're not listening to me and they're not valuing me. And so I was like, okay, I'm giving that particular action, that particular action of the person a definition, and should I be giving it this particular definition? And so this is a opportunity to look at things going on in the world without judgment, to not put my meaning on things. Because if I'm putting my meaning on things, it may not be the meaning that I'm putting on them. Because I'm looking at this as separateness, as separation, versus as love. And so I want to look at things in the scope and vision of love. I do not understand anything I see. How could I understand what I see when I have judged it amiss? How many times have we put our own definition on someone or something, but we're not judging it accurately? What I see is the projection of my own errors of thought, and that's why we want to clear our erroneous thinking, and that's why I love doing Ho'oponopono, so I can get to a place of neutrality, a place of void, because if otherwise I would be flying off the handle and going off on people. So I'm so grateful for Ho'oponopono and, of course, the miracles. I do not understand what I see because it is not understandable. There is no sense in trying to understand it, but there is every reason to let it go, to make room for what can be seen and understood and loved. I can exchange what I see now for this merely by being willing to do so. Is not this a better choice than the one I made before? Lesson 3. And so by taking a time to pause, sometimes I'm pausing to not judge and ask myself, am I giving definition to this? And most time it's like, okay, no, I don't want to give a definition to this. My definition is wrong. Let me see this through eyes of love. And if I could see things through the eyes of love, I'm not going to go off. It's hard for you to go off when you know that things are working out for you and things are for your benefit. These thoughts do not mean anything. The thoughts of which I am aware do not mean anything because I am trying to think without God. What I call my thoughts are not my real thoughts. My real thoughts are the thoughts I think with God. I am not aware of them because I have made my thoughts, quote unquote, my thoughts to take their place. I am willing to recognize that my thoughts do not mean anything and to let them go, and I let them go. I choose to have them replaced by what they were intended to replace. My thoughts are meaningless, but all creation lies in the thoughts I think with God. And with Ho'oponopono, when we get to that void state, we are thinking with God. And we are inspired to act by God. I am never upset for the reason I think. I am never upset for the reason I think because I am constantly trying to justify my thoughts. I am constantly trying to make them true and make things my enemies so that my anger is justified and my attacks are warranted. I have not realized how much I have misused everything I see by assigning this role to it. I have done this to defend a thought system which has hurt me and which I no longer want. I am willing to let it go. Lesson 5. And I just love this lesson because it reminds me to not be in my ego, to not have ego-based thoughts. And if I am having ego-based thoughts, to switch and flip them, to substitute them with the love of God. I am upset because I see what is not there. Reality is never frightening. It is impossible that it could upset me. Reality brings only perfect peace. When I am upset, it is always because I have replaced reality with illusions, which I made up. The illusions are upsetting because I have given them reality and thus regard reality as an illusion. Nothing in God's creation is affected in any way by this confusion of mine. I am always upset by nothing. Lesson 6. I see only the past. As I look about, I condemn the world I look upon. I call this seeing. I hold the past against everyone and everything, making them my enemies. When I have forgiven myself and remembered who I am, I will bless everyone and everything I see. There will be no past and therefore no enemies, and I will look with God on all that I failed to see before. Lesson 7. So usually when we get upset with people, it's not because of what they're doing now, this second. It's because of what they did maybe 5 minutes ago, 1 minute ago, a week ago, a year ago. Some people hold grudges for years, and I have been one of them. So when I see people and I'm holding them hostage, if I see something that they did to me a week ago, a second ago, that's in the past. And this is one thing that I have to remember. That was in the past, and don't see their past, but see the person as he or she is now. This lesson 7 is one of the lessons that I have to practice. Let's see. My mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. I see only my own thoughts, and my mind is preoccupied with the past. What, then, can I see as it is? Let me remember that I look on the past to prevent the present from dawning on my mind. Let me understand that I am trying to use time against God. Let me learn to give the past away, to let that past go, realizing that in doing so, I am giving up nothing. It doesn't cost me anything to let these things go. Lesson 8. I see nothing as it is now. If I see nothing as it is now, it can truly be said that I see nothing. I can see only what is now. The choice is not whether to see the past or the present. It is merely whether to see or not see. What I have chosen to see has cost me vision. Now I would choose again that I may see. Lesson 9. My thoughts do not mean anything. I have no private thoughts. Yet it is only private thoughts of which I am aware. What can these thoughts mean? They do not exist, and so they mean nothing. Yet my mind is part of creation and part of its creator. Would I not rather join the thinking of the universe than to obscure all that is really mine with my pitiful and meaningless private thoughts? Lesson 10. I have no private thoughts. So, I can pick up other people's thoughts, and I'm sure they're picking up mine. Especially if we are quote unquote one, there is no separateness. So it only makes sense that we are antennas picking up each other's thoughts. And then, which thoughts are mine, which thoughts are theirs. I'm training my mind to be more love-based. So if I'm thinking thoughts of killing people and hatred and revenge, more likely than not, that's probably someone else's thoughts that I'm picking up in the collective. But of course, we are going to be mindful and introspective and make sure that we're not attacking, sending out attack thoughts. My meaningless thoughts are showing me a meaningless world. Since the thoughts of which I am aware do not mean anything, the world which pictures them can have no meaning. What is producing this world is insane, and so is what it produces. So, what is producing this world is insane. We have an insane mind, and so what it produces is going to be an insane world. Reality is not insane, and I have real thoughts as well as insane ones. So the real thoughts come from God, and the insane ones come from our ego. I can therefore see a real world if I look to my real thoughts as my guide for seeing. I love that. I can therefore see a real world if I look to my real thoughts as my guide for seeing. And, what we focus on is what we get. That's when we focus on something, we're asking for more of it. So let's focus on having real thoughts as our guide for seeing. Lesson 11. I am upset because I see a meaningless world. Insane thoughts are upsetting. They produce a world in which there is no order anywhere. Only chaos rules a world which represents chaotic thinking, and chaos has no laws. I cannot live in peace in such a world. I am grateful that this world is not real and that I need not see it at all unless I choose to value it. And I do not choose to value what is totally insane and has no meaning. Lesson 12. A meaningless world engenders fear. The totally insane engenders fear because it is completely undependable and offers no grounds for trust. Nothing in madness is dependable. It holds out no safety and no hope. But such a world is not real. I have given it the illusion of reality and have suffered from my belief in it. Now I choose to withdraw this belief and place my trust in reality. In choosing this, I will escape all the effects of the world of fear because I am acknowledging that it does not exist. Lesson 13. God did not create a meaningless world. How can a meaningless world exist if God did not create it? He is the source of all meaning, and everything that is real is in His mind. It is in my mind too, because He created it with me. Why should I continue to suffer from the effects of my own insane thoughts when the perfection of creation is my home? Let me remember the power of my decision and recognize where I really abide. Lesson 14. My thoughts are images which I have made. Whatever I see reflects my thoughts. It is my thoughts which tell me where I am and what I am. The fact that I see a world in which there is suffering and loss and death shows me that I am seeing only the representation of my insane thoughts, and I am not allowing my real thoughts to cast their beneficent light on what I see. Yet God's way is sure. The images I have made cannot prevail against Him because it is not my will that they do so. My will is His, and I will place no other gods before Him. Lesson 15. I have no neutral thoughts. Neutral thoughts are impossible because all thoughts have power. They will either make a false world or lead me to the real one. But thoughts cannot be without effects. As the world I see arises from my thinking errors, so will the real world rise before my eyes as I let my errors be corrected. My thoughts cannot be neither true nor false. They must be one or the other. What I see shows me which they are. So if I'm seeing a world that's insane, then that means there's something I need to change in me. I need to clear something in me. And that's why I love Ho'oponopono, because I can clear in the moment. I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. I'm telling divinity, I love you, I love you, I love you, thank you, I thank you, as I'm triggered, as I go about my day, as I have appointments in the future. That is how I clear. Lesson 16. I see no neutral things. What I see witnesses to what I think. If I did not think, I would not exist, because life is thought. Was it Descartes who said, I think, therefore I am? And I'm going to read that sentence one more time. If I did not think, I would not exist, because life is thought. Let me look on the world as the representation of my own state of mind. I know that my state of mind can change, and so I also know the world I see can change as well. Ooh, I love that lesson. Lesson 17. As I go through this book, every time I go through the book, there's more to love about it. And, I just love lesson 17. I actually want to go back and reread all the 50 lessons in the workbook. I'm not going to do that today, but let me know if you want me to do one long string of reading the 50 lessons in the book. And I'm laughing because that video will probably be like 4 hours. Who knows how long it would be. And we'll see if I'm inspired to do that. But I just love reading these first 50 lessons. I am not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. I am not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. If I have no private thoughts, I cannot see a private world. Even the mad idea of separation had to be shared before it could form the basis of the world I see. Yet that sharing was a sharing of nothing. I can also call upon my real thoughts, which share everything with everybody. As my thoughts of separation call to the separation thoughts of others, so my real thoughts awaken the real thoughts in them. And the world my real thoughts show me will dawn on their sight as well as mine. So this is reminding me, this last sentence, and the world my real thoughts show me will dawn on their sight as well as mine. This reminds me of Dr. Hewlin's statement, when I get clean, when I clear, then other people will get clear too, based on the situation that I'm cleaning. And so when we are with someone, in the presence of someone, when we have thoughts of evil, thoughts of revenge, and I'm getting downloads of different things, so that's why I'm pausing. So one thing that I got downloaded just now was the mob effect. So when we have, when people are in a crowd, a large crowd, and not normal people, but when people who normally would be good and kind and not do crazy things, but when they're in a mob of other people and they start, one thing that comes to mind, and I'm sorry, I'm going to use the R word, or just know, when I say the R word, just substitute what you think it could be, a 4-letter word. I remember reading an article years ago that there was a mob in New York, and men had attacked women and violated them. And the men said, I'm a good person, so on and so forth. But because they were in this mob, they acted uncharacteristically of them. And so this whole part, lesson 18, I have no private thoughts. So we are transmitters, we're thought transmitters, and we can affect people to do good or to do evil. One piece of anecdotal evidence that really stands out for me is when I was in Hawaii. I was at peace. I was minding my own business, and then this group of girls, they kind of brought the chaos. And I was reading my book, and they were trying to get me to conform to them. But I'm in my own space. I know who I am. And so I stayed peaceful. And then because I remained at peace, they synced up with me. And speaking of syncing up, women, when they live together, their cycles sync together. And so this is all of lesson 18. And just think about all the theories of quantum entanglement in physics. Okay, I am not alone in experiencing the effects of my thoughts. I am alone in nothing. Everything I think or say or do touches all the universe. A son of God cannot think or speak or act in vain. He cannot be alone in anything. It is therefore in my power to change every mind along with mine, for mine is the power of God. Lesson 19. So, when we go into places, we bring the presence and power of God with us. And I'm remembering there was this meditation effect on cities. I believe it might have been Lynn Taggart, don't quote me. But when cities meditated, when groups of people meditated in a city, the crime rates went down. And so just think how powerful you are. We can affect other people. I am determined to see. Recognizing the shared nature of my thoughts, I am determined to see. I would look upon the witnesses that show me the thinking of the world has been changed. I would behold I would behold the proof that what has been done through me has enabled love. Ooh, I would behold the proof that what has been done through me has enabled love to replace fear, laughter to replace weeping, and abundance to replace loss. I would look upon the real world and let it teach me that my will and the will of God are one. Lesson 20. I am determined to see things differently. What I see now are but signs of disease, disaster, and death. This cannot be what God created for his beloved child. The very fact that I see such things is proof that I do not understand God. Therefore, I also do not understand his child. What I see tells me that I do not know who I am. I am determined to see the witnesses to the truth in me rather than those which show me an illusion of myself. So when we see people, we shouldn't be seeing sickness or disease or death. And this is a mind training that I am doing. Instead of seeing people when they say I'm sick or, they tell me what symptoms they're having, I am mentally in my mind saying, I see you as whole, I see you as well. And, being in the world, there are so many things stacked against us because most people are not going to say to someone who's sick, I see you as whole. Most people are going to be like, okay, I agree, you are sick. Go to the doctor. I agree, you need to get more medication and even more medication. And I agree that you are sick. And so by you being that positive light to say, I see you as whole, that might be the turning point for someone to become whole. There's karma and things like that. And so there's so much that goes into someone becoming healed. But at least you'll be that light that can kind of push someone towards wholeness versus continuing to see them in despair. And I don't know if this is true or not, but I did Ho'oponopono over corruption, and not that long afterwards, this whole thing with Puff Daddy came out. And so I'm wondering if maybe my thoughts of Ho'oponopono over corruption helped Cassie to, kind of blow the whistle on Sean P. Diddy Combs. We never know what we're affecting. There's the butterfly effect. When a butterfly flaps its wings in Indonesia, a hurricane is produced in Brazil, for instance. So we don't know what we're affecting. If we can just be the positive light, to be the love in situations and circumstances, we never know what could happen. What I see is a form of vengeance. The world I see is hardly the representation of loving thoughts. It is a picture of attack on everything and by everything. On everything and by everything. It is anything but a reflection of the love of God and the love of his Son. It is my own attack thoughts which gives rise to this picture. My loving thoughts will save me from this perception of the world and give me the peace God intended me to have. Lesson 22. And going back really briefly to Lesson 21, it is coming out, and I'll say allegedly, that the Kardashians, I believe it was Kim Kardashian, who was giving money to pay people off, and then she's in a lot of debt, even though she's pretending to be rich, like really, really, really rich, but then she has all this debt. So a lot of things are coming out. And with this little one thread, it's like it just unraveled the whole dress, so to speak. It's fascinating. Like I said, we never know what's going on. And I'm glad that by having A Course in Miracles, by applying A Course in Miracles, we no longer have to see these illusions, but we can see reality and the love of God. I can escape from the world by giving up attack thoughts. Herein lies my salvation and nowhere else. Without attack thoughts, I could not see a world of attack. As forgiveness allows love to return to my awareness, I will see a world of peace and safety and joy. And it is this that I choose to see in place of what I look on now. A world of peace, safety, joy, love. I just cherish that. That's lesson 23. I do not perceive my own best interests. How could I recognize my own best interests when I do not know who I am? What I think are my best interests would merely bind me closer to the world of illusions. I am willing to follow the guide God has given me to find out what my own best interests are, recognizing that I cannot perceive them by myself. And so when we do Ho'oponopono clearing, we have these erroneous thoughts which would have us do the same thing we've always done. But once we clear, we are guided by inspiration, by divinity. And so we might be inspired to do something that we've never been inspired to do before. Because when we have erroneous thinking, it's like a groove that has been etched into our mind, and we can only do that one thing or, perform a pattern. But with inspiration and clearing, we have access to a myriad, an infinite number of possibilities. That was lesson 24. I do not know what anything is for. To me, the purpose of everything is to prove that my illusions about myself are real. It is for this purpose that I attempt to use everyone and everything. It is this that I believe the world is for. Therefore, I do not recognize its real purpose. The purpose I have given the world has led to a frightening picture of it. Let me open my mind to its real purpose by withdrawing the one I have given it and learning the truth about it. Lesson 25. So, when we clear, we're going to be able to be a channel of love, and we're going to be able to see people as they truly are, things as they truly are, and we're not going to want to attack them. My attack thoughts are attacking my invulnerability. How can I know who I am when I see myself as under constant attack? Pain, illness, loss, age, and death seem to threaten me. All my hopes and wishes and plans appear to be at the mercy of a world I cannot control. Yet perfect security and complete fulfillment are my inheritance. Security and complete fulfillment are my inheritance. I have tried to give my inheritance away in exchange for the world I see, but God has kept my inheritance safe for me. My own real thoughts will teach me what it is. Lesson 26. Above all else, I want to see. Recognizing that what I see reflects what I think I am, I realize that vision is my greatest need. The world I see attests to the fearful nature of the self-image I have made. If I would remember who I am, it is essential that I let this image of myself go as it is replaced by truth. Vision will surely be given me, and with this vision I will look upon the world and upon myself with charity and love. Lesson 27. Above all else, I want to see differently. The world I see holds my fearful self-image in place and guarantees its continuance. While I see the world as I see it now, truth cannot enter my awareness. I would let the door behind this world be open for me, that I may look past it to the world that reflects the love of God. Lesson 28. God is in everything I see. Some people have a problem with the word God. If you do, feel free to substitute anything that is more palatable, that is more acceptable to you. Love is in everything I see. The universe is in everything I see. Light is in everything I see. And before doing Ho'oponopono, God was a trigger word for me because I grew up in the church and I did not have the best experience in the church. So if God is a trigger word for you, feel free to do Ho'oponopono, and hopefully some of that baggage will dissipate. Behind every image I have made, the truth remains unchanged. Behind every veil I have drawn across the face of love, its light remains undimmed. Beyond all my insane wishes is my will united with the will of my Father. God is still everywhere and in everything forever. And we who are part of Him will yet look past all appearances and recognize the truth beyond them all. That was lesson 29. God is in everything I see because God is in my mind. In my own mind, behind all my insane thoughts of separation and attack, is the knowledge that all is one forever. I have not lost the knowledge of who I am because I have forgotten it. It has been kept for me in the mind of God, who has not left his thoughts, and I, who am among them, am one with them and with him. I'm going to read that again. God is in everything I see because God is in my mind. In my own mind, behind all my insane thoughts of separation and attack, is the knowledge that all is one forever. I have not lost the knowledge of who I am because I have forgotten it. It has been kept for me in the mind of God, who has not left his thoughts, and I, who among them am one with them and with him. I am not a victim of the world I see. How can I be a victim of a world that can be completely undone if I so choose? My chains are loosened. I can drop them off merely by desiring to do so. The prison door is open. I can leave it simply by walking out. Nothing holds me in this world. Only my wish to stay keeps me a prisoner. I would give up insane wishes and walk into the sunlight at last. Lesson 31. I have invented the world I see. I made up the prison in which I see myself. All I need do is recognize this, and I am free. I have deluded myself into believing it is possible to imprison the Son of God. I have deluded myself into believing it is possible to imprison the child of God. I was bitterly mistaken in this belief, which I no longer want. This child of God must be forever free. The child is as God created him or her, and not what I would make of him or her. The child is where God would have him be, would have her be, and not where I thought to hold him prisoner, to hold her prisoner. That was lesson 32. There is another way of looking at the world. Since the purpose of the world is not the one I ascribe to it, there must be another way of looking at it. I see everything upside down, and my thoughts are the opposite of truth. I see the world as a prison for God's child. It must be, then, that the world is really a place where he or she can be set free. I would look upon the world as it is and see it as a place where the child of God finds their freedom. Lesson 33. I could see peace instead of this. When I see the world as a place of freedom, I will realize that it reflects the laws of God instead of the rules which I made up for it to obey. When I see the world as a place of freedom, I will realize that it reflects the laws of God instead of the rules which I made up for it to obey. I will understand that peace, not war, abides in it. And I will perceive that peace also abides in the hearts of all who share this place with me. So I could see peace instead of this. There's really only one law, and the law of God is love. Anything else that is opposite of that, that is of the world, and we don't buy into those things. We don't buy into war. We don't buy into disease. We don't buy into death. We don't buy into poverty. Anything that is the opposite of love. We don't buy into fear. Anything that is the opposite of love or the products of love. That's not what we're going to put our mind on. We're going to put our mind only on love. My mind is part of God's. I am very holy. As I share the peace of the world with my brothers and sisters, I begin to understand that this peace comes from deep within myself. The world I look upon has taken on the light of my forgiveness and shines forgiveness back at me. In this light, I begin to see what my illusions about myself had kept hidden. I begin to understand the holiness of all living things, including myself, and their oneness with me. And speaking of all things being holy and being one with me, I used to didn't care for critters. I am not a critter person per se, but after going through the course all these days, almost 6 months, or 5 months, January, February, March, April, May, almost 5 complete full months, I have been one. I know that I am one with different critters, and I have compassion for critters that I see. Like if I'm on a walk, I will see different critters in my journeying, and I have compassion for the critters now. Normally, they wouldn't be on my radar, or sometimes I would be like, ew, yuck. But now I just have nothing but love for these other creatures that share the world with us. My holiness envelopes everything I see. From my holiness does the perception of the real world come. Having forgiven, I no longer see myself as guilty. I can accept the innocence that is the truth about me. Seeing through understanding eyes, the holiness of the world is all I see, for I can only picture the thoughts I hold about myself, and I am picturing holy thoughts about myself as I go through the course. And that was lesson 36. My holiness blesses the world. The perceptions of my holiness does not bless me alone. Everyone and everything I see in its light shares in the joy it brings to me. There is nothing that is apart from this joy, because there is nothing that does not share my holiness. As I recognize my holiness, so does the holiness of the world shine forth for everyone to see. Lesson 37. There is nothing my holiness cannot do. My holiness is unlimited in its power to heal. My holiness is unlimited in its power to heal because it is unlimited in its power to save. What is there to be saved except illusions? And what are all illusions except false ideas about myself? My holiness undoes them as by asserting the truth about me. In the presence of my holiness, which I share with God Himself, all idols vanish. My holiness is my salvation. Since my holiness saves me from all guilt, recognizing my holiness is recognizing my salvation. It is also recognizing the salvation of the world. Once I have accepted my holiness, nothing can make me afraid. And because I am unafraid, everyone must share my understanding, which is the gift of God to me and to the world. Lesson 39. I am blessed as a son of God, as a child of God. Herein lies my claims to all good and only good. I am blessed as a child of God. All good things are mine because God intended them for me. I cannot suffer any loss or deprivation or pain because of who I am. My Father supports me, protects me, and directs me in all things. His care for me is infinite and is with me forever. I am eternally blessed as His child. Lesson 40. God goes with me wherever I go. How can I be alone when God always goes with me? How can I be doubtful and unsure of myself when perfect certainty abides in Him? How can I be disturbed by anything when He rests in me in absolute peace? How can I suffer when love and joy surround me through Him? Let me not cherish illusions about myself. I am perfect because God goes with me wherever I go. Lesson 41. God is my strength. Vision is His gift. Let me not look to my own eyes to see today. Let me be willing to exchange my pitiful illusion of seeing for the vision that is given by God. Christ's vision is His gift, and He has given it to me. Let me call upon this gift today so that this day may help me to understand eternity. Lesson 42. God is my source. I cannot see apart from Him. I can see what God wants me to see. I cannot see anything else. Beyond His will lie only illusions. It is these I choose when I think I see apart from Him. It is these I choose when I try to see through the body's eyes. Yet the vision of Christ has been given me to replace them. It is through this vision that I choose to see. God is the light in which I see. I cannot see in darkness. God is the only light. Therefore, if I am to see, it must be through Him. I have tried to define what seeing is, and I have been wrong. Now it is given me to understand that God is the light in which I see. Let me welcome vision and the happy world it will show me. Lesson 44. God is the mind with which I think. I have no thoughts I do not share with God. I have no thoughts apart from Him because I have no mind apart from His. As part of His mind, my thoughts are His and His thoughts are mine. Lesson 45. God is the love in which I forgive. God does not forgive because He is never condemned. The blameless cannot blame, and those who have accepted their innocence see nothing to forgive. Yet forgiveness is the means by which I will recognize my innocence. It is the reflection of God's love on earth. It will bring me near enough to heaven that the love of God can reach down to me and raise me to my home. Lesson 46. God is the strength in which I trust. It is not my own strength through which I forgive. It is through the strength of God in me, which I am remembering as I forgive. As I begin to see, I recognize His reflection on earth. I forgive all things because I feel the stirring of His strength in me, and I begin to remember the love I chose to forget, but which has not forgotten me. Lesson 47. There is nothing to fear. How safe the world will look to me when I see it. It will not look anything like what I imagine I see now. Everyone and everything I see will lean toward to bless me. I will recognize in everyone my dearest friend. What could there be to fear in a world which I have forgiven and which has forgiven me? I love that. I will recognize everyone, I will recognize in everyone my dearest friend. Oh my goodness. So anything that people do, and if you see them as them being friendly and being in your corner and being for you and being supportive of you, even if what they do seems to be so called evil, but if you see them as being your friend and forgive them, nothing can really impress you, and you will see the real world. I just love that. There is nothing to fear. I'm going to read this one again. How safe the world will look to me when I can see it. I will not look it will not look anything like what I imagined I see now. Everyone and everything I see will lean toward me to bless me. I will recognize in everyone my dearest friend. What could there be to fear in a world which I have forgiven and which has forgiven me? God's voice speaks to me all through the day. There is not a moment in which God's voice ceases to call on my forgiveness to save me. There is not a moment in which His voice fails to direct my thoughts, guide my actions, and lead my feet. I am walking steadily on toward truth. There is nowhere else I can go because God's voice is the only voice and the only guide that has been given to His child. Lesson 49. I am sustained by the love of God. I said other ones were my favorite. This is a favorite too. And I love the other one that we had read about, there is nothing to fear. I am sustained by the love of God. As I listen to God's voice, I am sustained by His love. As I open my eyes, His love lights the world for me to see. His love lights up the world for me to see. As I forgive, His love reminds me that His child is sinless. And as I look upon the world with the vision He has given me, I remember that I am His child. That was lesson 50. Forgiveness ends the dream of conflict here. And this is lesson 333. Conflict must be resolved. It cannot be evaded, set aside, denied, disguised, seen somewhere else, called by another name, nor hidden by deceit of any kind, if it would be escaped. It must be seen exactly as it is, where it is thought to be, in the reality which has been given it, and with the purpose that the mind accorded it. For only then are its defenses lifted, and the truth can shine upon it as it disappears. Father, forgiveness is the light you chose to shine away all conflict and all doubt, and light the way for our return to you. No light but this can end our evil dreams. No light but this can save the world. For this alone will never fail in anything, being your gift to your beloved Son. How simple is salvation? All it says is what was never true is not true now. All it says is what was never true is not true now and never will be. The impossible has not occurred and can have no effects, and that is all. Can this be hard to learn by anyone who wants it to be true? Only unwillingness to learn it could make such an easy lesson difficult. How hard is it to see that what is false cannot be true, and what is true cannot be false? What God did not create does not exist, and everything that does not what God did not create does not exist, and everything that does exist exists as He created it. The world you see has nothing to do with reality. It is of your own making and does not exist. You are as God created you. I'm going to read that paragraph again because what was downloaded to me is because we were made in the image of God, we are very powerful. And so this is why we can create the world as it is. It's because of that power that we inherited from God. We are creators. Just like He is the creator, we are creative. What God did not create does not exist. And everything that does exist exists as He created it. The world you see has nothing to do with reality. It is of your own making, and it does not exist. You are as God created you. And as I reread that, I believe, because I'm still reading the text, I have not finished reading the text part of the course, I believe we are makers and God is the creator. I believe A Course in Miracles distinguishes between creating and making, but I don't know for certain because I need to finish reading the text. But I believe there is a distinction. So, but I know from going to Christian school and reading the Bible, it says that we were created in the image of God. Today belongs to love. Let me not fear. Ooh, I love that. Today belongs to love. Let me not fear. Father, today I would let all things be as you created them and give your sons, your children, the honor due their sinlessness. The love of brother to his brother, or the love of sister to her sister and her friend. Through this I am redeemed. Through this as well the truth will enter where illusions were. Light will replace all darkness, and your child will know that she, they, him, he is as you created them. Okay, so the course doesn't have female gender roles, but I'm a female, so I like putting in she. But I'm going to read it just as it is so there's no confusion. Father, today I would let all things be as you created them and give your sons the honor due their sinlessness, the love of brother to his brother and his friend. Through this I am redeemed. Through this as well the truth will enter where illusions were. Light will replace all darkness, and your son will know he is as you created him. Okay, so that is it. This basically says that this little book is excerpted from the Sparkly edition of A Course in Miracles, and it's published and distributed by the Borderland. And this version of A Course in Miracles does not have a copyright. And the back is just like on the Sparkly, the way, the truth, the life, Jesus. Okay, so that's it. I hope you're having a wonderful day or evening wherever you're at in the world. Give me some time to produce the non commentary version of this, and I'll put it up as soon as it's available. I hope you're having a wonderful day again or evening again wherever you're at in the world. Talk to you later. Bye.